Hey, I'm here with Joel Tudor. Well, he's in California and I'm in Honolulu at the shop, and we're going to go over some of the models that we carry. Man, we've been working with you for a long time, so I'm pretty stoked to
Yeah,
get
man, stoked to get some boards back in there. I got to come by and visit the shop. I haven't been in there. God, it's been so long. I drive by it all the time though. I go down memory lane, remembering when I'm trying to avoid traffic or I'm making some shortcut down one of the side streets.
I think it's been 20 years.
Yeah, and Helson's Academy, the original academy, was right there on Queen, right down the street from you, like right around the corner. That's why I used to stop by and see you guys all the time.
Yeah. So I got the Messiah. Can you tell me a little bit about this board?
So that one, Wayne Rich and I worked on those ones to make the plugs. That was just, I loaned him my original Blue Messiah, the one that the Model T was created after. But it was always very different from the actual board that Donald produced for the public. Donald, the one that he made, was very, very just kind of his own version. The one that he originally made for me was something he made just on a whim. And he didn't like particularly the thickness and the rails that he did on my personal one. I loved the board, but he was always kind of like, for me personally, I'd read something thinner. So I gave Wayne that board, and he had him for a couple years. It took him a while to actually make the plugs. And then when he gave me that one back, it just had kind of more a traditionally down nose, which is something Donald's kind of his style. He's known for kind of making like most people, the nose goes this way from the bottom up. His have that little like arc where it kind of comes from the top down. Yeah. And that's sort of a tribute to his down noses,
Yeah. So
they're fun. They're good. They're good when the wind, especially in town and in Hawaii in general. Offshores are very different. So too much concave is really sometimes can be a little like hindering depending on the wave. And those are great for that kind of like, if you've got a windy surface and you're trying to find something that'll nose ride through those kind of situations, that's what they're good for.
Model T custom. Yeah. It says custom on the bottom.
Yeah, that one's cool. I always rode, Nueva nose riders, and I've had a lot in my lifetime. And we made one. We had we had a collaboration with David 20 some years ago where we were making them. So I kind of tried to meet in the middle and not leave such a abrupt concave, not such a like a sharp lip line, again, so that the wind wouldn't be such a factor, when you're surfing different waves. And actually, I won a few contests on that thing. I won Malibu. Yuta Suzuki, our rider in Japan, he won Malibu on that same model. The board's really good. It actually has a less tail kick than the actual Nueva too. David's tail, the tail is just like super scooped in the back, where that one's real subtle. And it was just kind of, I took all the minuses out of the actual Nueva style nose rider and made it kind of more up to my my formula that I would use personally. Yeah. So that's what that one is.
So the boards that have more kick on the tail compared to the boards that have less kick, what is the different riding feels in the board?
More tail rocker slows it down. So if you're just trying to stay on the nose the whole time, obviously tail rocker is going to be like a crucial. It's the brake. It's the brake on the back half that holds the tail in place for when you're balancing on the front. Does that make sense?
Yep, it makes sense.
That's exactly what it is. So when you see these boards with the elf shoe in the back, it's to enable, for a longer hang time on the nose,
Oh.
I love nose riding. Don't get me wrong. Nose riding is great, but it's it can't be the end all be all. It gets old after a while, and that's why kind of most of my boards are kind of somewhere in the middle. I do make some boards with a ton of tail kick, but not really a ton. I think the moon tails are only real nose rider with that kind of scoop in the back,
Yeah. So the difference between the Messiah and the custom that we were just talking about, what's the biggest difference in ride and feel?
One is a down nose, so it's going to nose ride in a faster situation, and the other one, the nose is turned up with a more accentuated concave at a longer distance, right? The Messiah, the concave is just above 2 feet long, I think, just a touch. as where, you know, the Model T, it stretches down almost 3 feet, like it blends into the roll spot under your chest. Under most kind of nose rider style boards, there's always kind of a flat spot under your chest, just to where you're paddling, so it's not pushing too much water. And in that particular, the Model T one, the concave stretches down into that zone, so it's a little more hang time than I would say the Messiah. You know, the Messiah's a little more wider variety of waves you can ride it in, as where the Model T is like, you know, you're looking to hang 10.
Yeah. These are all hand shaped.
Yeah, of course, man. Our guys
Yeah.
were awesome.
Who's doing the glassing?
Good crew. That one was glassed by Alex Villalobos down at our factory in San Diego. Hank's been working for me for 20, geez, I don't even know how long. You know, we had Schraz in the beginning. I had Bill Shrosby. Hank's always been there, though, the entire time, even when Schraz was there, and Stu Kenson, Tom Eberly. We have some new kids now that we're working with. We have Tom Morat and Barrett Miller, or some other guys that have been finishing some stuff for us when they're in town. You know, a lot of our older guys are 75, 74. Hoy Reynolds works with us. You know, we got a pretty good crew, but I'm trying to groom some younger people to be able to pick up the slack for when these guys decide to call it quits. So, well, it's the truth. This generation's really like, they're coming to an end. I don't know how many more years we really have of that particular. It's a scary thought, but it's these guys are all in their mid 70s, and it's time to let them just cruise. I'm sure they're always going to shape boards and do their stuff, but they gotta get some more water time. So we're in that phase, and we're training some young guys, and they're super talented, and I get to work with them and share ideas, and you know, that's how it works. You got to keep the ball rolling. Got to keep the cycle moving.
On the Messiah, when you're in Hawaii riding it, what kind of, or what fin are you using on it?
What fins? Okay, so it depends on the board. Like for me, if I'm riding a 9'4", your fin could go anywhere between like 9.5 inches is ideal, because it's the same size as the board basically, or 10 inches if you're into like a bigger fin that you're looking that's not going to slip. I with square tails always kind of leave a more pivotal fin, you know, unless you're riding sort of an Australian style board, which is where the numbers move past the wide point towards the back. It's not that the wide point's back. The wide point's always dead center, but just the numbers will accentuate as it moves back. So it gives this optical illusion that there's a hip behind it. And those are normally, you know, they tend to get the title of like an Australian style board, like, you know, kind of like the Springfield, you know, some of the models that we've been doing a long time, the Son of Sam, like that kind of stuff are fall into that category. With those kind of boards, you normally would use like a Greeno style fin, which is like a stage, you know, it's kind of real popular fin nowadays. I wouldn't use the Greeno on either of the two boards that you just pointed out. I would either go to DRD has a fin called the number 1, and they have a pivot fin too. I have a classic fin with Fins Unlimited that comes in a 9.5 or a 10, and that one kind of fits really well with the Messiah behind you. And then with the particular the Nueva style one, you kind of want a bigger kind of like, you know, thick wide fin to keep you in there from slipping. It's up to you. You can choose through a huge, I mean, obviously if you buy one of my fins from somebody, I'm stoked you can, but it's really personal. I don't really push that on people. Like if they, you know, cause some guys like certain kind of fins, some guys don't. So it's up to it's your own personal eye. But I would just say normally, you know, pivot fins, ones that are kind of more straight up and down, tend to go a little bit better with square tails, unless you're riding that Australian style board, you know?
Yeah. So the glassing schedule on both of these boards, are they the same?
It should be. Either if it's super heavy, we normally do like 848. If it's not, I do just 666, tail patches and deck patches, just for like the safety, you know, so you don't dent it up too much.
I think that's what we got. Your dad was saying that he'll just keep it a little bit better for the crisper waves that we have over here.
Yeah. 666 is normally the standard. 6 bottom, double 6 deck with a deck patch and a fin patch is kind of like always the go-to. That's what I ride on mine, unless I'm like really trying to get a heavier board. But most people don't want, you know, anything beyond like an 848 or a double 6, you know, because it's the same density. 848 comes out to 12, you know, and the double 6 comes out to 12, but just the cloth particularly on an 8, is a little thicker, and it doesn't blanket together as like a 6 and a 6. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
I know the numbers are the same. They still add up, but it's just when you're pulling the resin off, it for some reason it comes out a certain, the blanket's a little thicker on one side. I don't know why,
Yeah.
but that's the, and you get that like a little bit more rock solid feel. It's whatever you want. But I ride personally, and Tosh has on all his, or 666.
Right
It
on.
has to go, take good care of your boards, man. Keep them in a board bag.
Heck yeah.
You wait so long to get them. Mine are always, I clean them off. I don't got wax on the bottoms. I dry them off before I put them in the car. The whole deal.
Yeah.
So,
Right on.
right on. Well,
Hey,
thanks,
thank
Dave.
you very much.
Anytime,
Yeah,
dude.
thank you, man. I appreciate it.